Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with Magic Knight Rayearth, but not an episode. Today we are doing character rankings, and I have a top 5 episode list put together. Now, I'll apologize ahead of time. Things have been a bit hectic lately. There might be a video out on the channel about that, where I haven't had the time, or I guess I want to use the word inclination, and that might sound bad towards the show or myself. I haven't had maybe the ability to put my full thoughts down about the episodes or maybe even the characters. But thankfully, you out there in the audience have helped me on the character front as I put out the poll, and half of the poll is your character rankings. Half of the poll is my specific character rankings. We add them together, divide by 2, round up the median, and boom, we have our collective you and me rankings on these characters. The only thing you don't have a hand in is what I think are the best episodes, but I think I'm probably going to be on par with like the rest of the Magic Knight Rayearth audience on what is the best episodes. So let's go ahead and jump on in and see what is F tier. Oh, I'm sorry, I almost didn't do the thing. We rank the characters on 5 specific things. Let's see. I said this like 7 times this month. Let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head, even without that. Distinctive personality, iconic appearance. I'm doing this in the weirdest way. Emotional resonance, significant backstory, and I always forget that last one. Significant backstory. You know what? Can't remember. That's the problem. I have a shit memory. I apologize, but there is 5 rankings, and the worst you can do on this is a 5. That would be if the audience all gave a character a 1 and everything, and I gave the character significant character development. Sorry, the Twitch chat is here helping me out. Alex V9 jumping in. Significant character development. That's tier 5, or that's part number 5. So a character could get a 5 if the audience gave them a 1 in every category and I gave them a 1 in every category. Now, see, if the audience gave them a 1 in everything and I gave them a 1 in, or sorry, if I gave them a 10 in everything, they'd probably get a 25. My math is probably not great here, but that would mean that they gave them a 5, I gave them a 50. That would be 55. So actually, that would be what? Um, 26, 27. So they would be middle of the road. But that's an extreme point of view. And the top you could get on this board is a 50, and that's of course if you gave them a 10 all the way down and I gave them a 10 all the way down. I've already given you the example of the extreme, so you know what happens if I gave them all 1s and you gave them all 10s. So worst case scenario, if you absolutely all loved somebody and I hated them, or you all hated somebody and I loved them, they would end up in C tier. That's just what would happen. So I guess with that in mind, knowing that characters are weighted towards C tier, let's go ahead and hop in and see who are F tier characters of Magic Knight Rayearth are. So at the very bottom, Mr. and Mrs. Ryuzaki, otherwise known as Umi's parents, who only had, well, they showed up at the very beginning of season 2 for like, what, 5 seconds? I think mostly they're used in season 1 in like a nightmare flashback sequence of what are the characters worried about, where we see Hikaru's dog, and I forget what Umi's fear was. Sorry, Fu. Sorry, I forget what Fu's fear was. Umi's, I believe, had to do with her parents, and that was really their only significant appearance, to the point that they don't have first names. We got Ku Hujai. Sorry, I don't even actually know how to pronounce her last name. But for the longest time, I thought she was just Fu's friend. Didn't occur to me until I was making the board that she has the same last name as Fu. Like, I don't think I ever saw that until I was making the board. So clearly not a lot of development. Again, she only appears at the very beginning of season 2 for like a couple of seconds, and then the girls are taken back to Sephiroth, never see her again. And I mean, look, Hikaru's brothers are the same thing. We never see them in the first season. They only appear in the very beginning of season 2. They are season 2 only characters, and their defining trait is they are very protective of Hikaru, which, great, you're very protective of a girl who's the main hero of a 2-season and an OVA show where they are the hero. I mean, they didn't need you. They didn't need you, but you also were completely undeveloped. I guess the real surprise is Zazu Torque, a side character in Eagle's crew, but I'm like, he borders being in D tier because he's 1 point away from it. Like, if one of us, you, the audience, or me, had been more charitable, he'd been out of F tier. But I feel like he's the least developed of the Eagle crew. I think his name is Geo Metro. Seems to have a much deeper connection to Eagle than Zazu does. Zazu is a couple of scenes away from being one of the nameless crew aboard the battleship. All right, moving up to D tier. We start with Lady Debonair, the main villain. Well, I guess she's technically the main villain, but it's like Nova gets all the scenes. So again, the difference between being the big bad and the primary antagonist. Lady Debonair is the primary, not the primary. She is the main villain. Completely undeveloped. The threat is not even there. They just go to where she's at the very end and deal with her, and that's it. It's very underwhelming. Not much else to say. I guess the score says it all. Windham, Solis, Rayearth, hell, even Lexus. Lexus from the OVA, which in some kind of respect replaces Rayearth in the OVA. All the same score, essentially all the same character. They are the rune gods. Well, I don't know if Lexus is a rune god. Technically, I guess they should be. Because once again, they replace Rayearth in the OVA. But essentially, the same characters. I'll say this: I'm kind of surprised that Lexus didn't score higher, with the caveat that Lexus's appearance is cooler than Rayearth's, and I mean that in like even in the transformed mode. One of the only reasons I would say to watch the Rayearth OVA is to see what Lexus looks like in I don't know what you call it. The transformed mode that they have. It is fucking badass. I think that's probably where all my points into Lexus went. How fucking cool that looks. Otherwise, they have like next to no personality. And they talk in that very. Me and Lessons had a whole conversation about people who talk flowery and almost like very psychological without saying anything at all. The appearance of looking smart without being smart. I believe that comes from a character in Gundam Seed Destiny, and I can't remember who it is. But yeah, Windham, Solis, Rayearth, they all have that. I'm going to assume Lexus does as well. I just can't remember any lines Lexus has. So yeah. We got Tarda, the younger sister. Well, actually, she's only 1 point off from Tatra over here, the older sister. So might as well just like include them together, except the fact that Sierra is here in the middle. Yeah. I was never entertained when they were on screen. Like well, maybe the sword fight at the very end that they have with Umi, that was kind of entertaining. Otherwise, they were the worst of the invasion forces that appear in season 2. Their back and forth was not interesting. Yeah, hell, even Umi's response to the Jin wasn't interesting. It was all bad. I didn't hate most of it. I just was not interested when it was happening on screen. Sierra, of course, the sister of Pressia, was an interesting reveal, and I think the thing that sets it back is the concept of, oh, this is Pressia. With Princess Emerald's final wish, they brought her back to life, and it was like, I hate that, but I think that they might do that, so I hate that even more. And then we get the episode of Her Secret, where it turns out that she's just Pressia's sister dressed up as her, pretending to be her for everyone else's sake. And for my money, Pressia earned all of her points when she sacrificed her life at the very beginning of Magic Knight Rayearth to make sure that the Magic Knights could do their thing. And I really wasn't into Sierra's love interest with Clef. So there's like not a lot of elements of Sierra that build up for me. Lafarga, the bodyguard who just gets forgotten in season 2 until, sorry, I forgot what country Tatra and Tarta come from, that our illusionist from season 1 is also from. Until that love story happens, like at the very end of Magic Knight Rayearth, this guy shows up at the end of season 1. They deal with him in like an episode. He's not important ever again. Just the forgotten bodyguard. Sang Young. I guess it's because he is not a foil. I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Asuka is the best character I think that got introduced in season 2. Nah, best or second best. It's up in the air between him and Nova. Her and Nova. But the idea that Asuka is in love with Sang Young, and she uses him as the weapon to attack everyone, like a giant, you know, painted version of him, and that gets thrown back in her face of like, why do you keep using this guy's image? I don't. It's very interesting. The guy does nothing. He literally the shocked face that he has there. That's all he's around for. He does like mug shots on the side. I can't believe this is happening, sort of thing, without words. So that's why he got so low, I assume, for the purposes of why I voted for him. I can't obviously explain why the audience does, whatever. C tier. Primera, the fairy girl who shows up in season 2, who's cost me quite a few guess who the character is going to be on the wheel things. Especially all around the beginning of season 2, when I didn't understand who the hell she was, and the Mokona slot just gets replaced by her constantly. It's like, how can I guess this person? I don't know their name. Anyway, she's like one note. She's in love with Lantis, and she's upset with anybody who spends time with Lantis because she's jealous. I think most of her points probably came from iconic appearance because I can't think of that many fairies in any of the anime I watch. Geo Metro, the guy I was talking about before when I was talking about Zazu, he is closer to Eagle, I feel like. I also feel like there's like a romantic relationship happening between those two. But the idea at that point it becomes is Eagle his own harem at this point? Because I feel like there's something going on between him and Lantis, there's something going on between him and Geo, there's something going on between him and Hikaru. So yeah, it's a very confusing relationship. And Chang Eng, Asuka's other assistant, I'm very surprised in fact that he ranked above Sung Young, considering, well, I guess technically Sung Young gets more scenes, but Chang Eng gets more lines. So he is definitely less emotive. That's his own face. That's his only faces, I mean. But he definitely gets more lines, so we know more about what he's about. Plus, he's constantly trying to educate Asuka to be a better ruler. And again, my favorite of the invading countries. So Mira, she's a young girl in a dangerous situation in a shoujo anime, so not hard to explain. Have you ever seen why an explanation for why Ellie gets ranked so high in a Gundam not double O, Gundam Seed? Boom, there you go. Mokono, the Haru of Mobile Suit Gundam, except that Mokono can create buildings at will, it feels like. Uh, so, I mean, again, they are the. God, what's the word I want to use here? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to create dead air. I just can't think of what the word is. I'm trying to think of. Like sports teams have them in giant costumes. They dance up. They're the mascot. Mokona is the mascot of Magic Knight Rayearth. I feel like they tried to replace Mokona with Primera, and that didn't work out. It's a cute, fluffy little toy that obviously could be sold mass market. Why wouldn't you want a Mokona? Anova, the lowest ranking, I guess, of the season one villains, if you don't count Lafraga, because again, everyone forgot about Lafraga. Anova, again, technically another pet character, if you wanna count it that way, because technically they were Zagato and Princess Emerald's pet. And then they took human form to try and help Zagato in his plan to not let Princess Emerald kill herself. I mean, God, Zagato's plan is so very hard to put into words that are easy to go with. But yeah, no, it was a very touching story. I think I guessed it before it happened what their relationship would be. Not that it was going to be a pet sort of thing, but yeah, the lowest ranked of the season one villains. And again, I'm not counting Lafraga because Lafraga, despite being forgotten by time, was also turned into a not a good person, a uh, protagonist before the end. So they didn't like go down with the ship like everybody else did, and not even everybody else. Technically, Caldania and Ascot didn't go down with the ship either. Anyway, Lantis didn't like him. I never liked Lantis. They did not do a good job of selling me on Lantis. I specifically hated how he was supposed to be the best at everything. Oh, he's the best swordsman. Oh, he's also the best magic caster. By the way, he's well traveled. Did we tell you about the time he went to X other countries and he stopped on all these other countries on his way there? And now he's back again. Oh, look, he's rescuing people where the nothing has destroyed, even though he told nobody else to go out. I guess also I hate the love story between him and Hikaru because it comes out of fucking nowhere. I get the fact that Hikaru just seems to have fallen in love with him at first sight, but that's it, really. Until he shows up later and like gives her like a wreath headdress or something. And for me, it was unearned. It even Furo and Furo and Fu had back and forth before they were like, "Here, take my phone thing." It was something. Lantis never developed anywhere. Certainly, he was no Zagato. And by the way, hate that too. They keep every time there's a Lantis scene, it's always how shit was Zagato. It's like you're constantly shitting on your best character. But I guess in hindsight, when you're trying to sell the show to kids, maybe having a character who's like on the side of suicide isn't isn't the greatest selling point to advertisers. All right, B tier. Hikari. the cute little animal that Ascot, I think was it Ascot or Alcyone? I can't remember anymore. I want to say Ascot. Yes, because it was probably one of Ascot's pets at that point to trick the gang that turned into a giant monster to attack them. But Hikaru thought it looked like her dog, so they formed a bond. And then it seemed like even though it was meant to kill them, it was having second thoughts as well. And then it just fucking dies. It's an old Yeller scene in the middle of Magic Knight Rayearth, or not even in the middle. It's like right near the beginning. It's very touching, very emotional. Surprised they aren't ranked higher, in fact. Speaking of emotional, Pressia, like I said, cannot be replaced by her sister. She sent them on the journey, which had, I mean, far reaching ramifications for the entire show. But she also fucking dies in order to make sure that they have the weapons that they need to proceed. Like, her sacrifice is so important to the show that's why I was so pissed off in season 2 where they bring up the fact that she just got wished back into reality. Thank God they didn't go through with that, and it was her sister. Because I mean, again, that would be such a disservice to her sacrifice to just bring her back. My greatest disappointment on the list, Alcyone, because all I ever wanted was more Alcyone, and I wanted her to have some sort of arc that mattered. Like I was pleased that she came back in season 2, but then they did nothing with her in season 2, and essentially she gets sacrificed. And then in the OVA, she gets sacrificed. Alcyone can never take a win, and that's a shame because I think, unless I'm forgetting somebody, probably my second favorite character, which I guess goes to show you that these character rankings and the boards not biased at all. That my second favorite character is only in B tier, so that's why I always say that the 5 point system really works in a unbiased way because it's only based on what you can remember and how important you think those facts are. Sorry, I think I'm about to sneeze. That's why I'm holding my nose. This is a great way to not sneeze if you're me. Anyway, um, it's an unbiased opinion about 5 different character points, whereas without a deep observation about why I think she's my second favorite character, I would otherwise put her in S tier. But the points don't lie. She's a B tier character. Caldinia, very interesting in season 1, and then I'll put a caveat into that. Very interesting into the first half, or the first appearances she makes in season 1, because she uses her illusion talents pretty well. Not like Loki level well, but it's interesting. And then her relationship with Ascot is very interesting. Eventually, she falls in love with Lafraga, so I guess at least one person didn't forget him. But yeah, ironically, she scores low for iconic appearance for me, but she scores high in basically everything else because she has an actual story and she has a developing story in season 1 where a lot of characters didn't, and that was very important. And Nova, one of the best characters in season 2, and not for nothing, but mostly because she actually does stuff, and when she is talking or giving her speeches or whatnot, the emotion in her lines is present at all times. You can hear it. Versus some lines just feel like they're being read and have nothing behind it. Like, I'm just going to scoot this image over here a little bit. Eagle Vision, high ranking because of a lot of his backstory, a lot of his character development. There is some emotional resonance there for like when he's dying and he's going to try and sacrifice or give up his life for everyone else. because he already knows he's going to die, but I don't feel anything when he talks. It's very confusing. I feel like a dog watching television when he talks. There's just nothing there. Versus Nova, who has all energy, but at the end of the day, she's just a mirror to Hikaru, which means that all of her energy lacks actual substance because she's just Hikaru, really. And also, I guess not for nothing, literally said that the first moment I saw her. Oh, she's just a creation of Hikaru's. So, really wasn't a deep hidden thing there, which was kind of a disappointment. We got Master Mage, or Master Magician, I forget what it's called, Clef. Really didn't have that huge a role to play, because he kind of turns to stone in what was it, the second episode of Magic Knight Rayearth Season 1? And in Season 2, he's basically just trying to hold down the fort. So most of his stuff is like mystic communications with the girls to let them know what they need to do. And then on that really weird, it feels like they were trying to set Clef up with Umi, and then Umi turned out to be like, nah, I don't need anybody. So, let me just scoot over here a little bit because Ascot's right here as well. Both of our 36ers, top of B tier, characters it feels like they wanted to set up with Umi. Ascot, they at least set up in Season 1 as like, oh, he's in love with her. And then Season 2, they build up to it the whole time, like, oh, hey, you really need to talk to her. And then Umi's like, nah, I don't need anybody. Well, that's very interesting. Friend zone for you. But then, it's like that scene where, like, I don't remember if it was Clef puts his hand on Umi's leg or Umi puts her hand on his leg, but it's very much, they were leaning into it. What about these two? Did not play at all for me. And of course, Ascot and his pets in Season 1 was a lot more of a pull for me than tall, lanky Ascot in Season 2. Because Ascot and his pets is like, I care about my pets, but they keep dying, but I keep also being sent out to have my pets fight the girls that are killing them. And then, the twist when Alcyone tricks him to use the pet's power. It was way more interesting when he was a kid in Season 1 than young adult or teenager or whatever the hell he's supposed to be in Season 2. Anyway, you can tell that the A tier is a lot thinner than the other tiers have been so far. But yeah, we have the main girls, of course, Umi, Fu, Hikaru, separated by a point spread, of course. But then again, Hikaru was like main girl both seasons, so unsurprising that she would be the top. I don't think I have much really to say about the main characters of the show and why they get ranked. I guess the only question I can imagine being asked is how did the main characters of the show only arrive at A tier? And you know what? Sometimes it just happens. It's real easy to be interesting as a main character of a show, but the difficulty is that you have to remain interesting in a way that puts you above all other characters. And I think anybody who's been looking at this list is going to know who's in S tier and why it would be difficult to be more interesting or on par with those characters. Basically, that is a surprise for people who haven't been paying attention enough to know who should be in S tier. Already mentioned her a couple times now. Asuka, obviously. I already said my favorite of the invading armies. She has the most development, I feel like, because like when it comes to like Tarta and Tatra, they were already really who they were, and even if they weren't, or I mean, even if Tatra wasn't, Tarta was, and Tarta was always going to teach Tatra a lesson. So nothing unexpected comes of that. Asuka goes through this whole element of I'm going to get what I want. Why do I want what I want? Let me have a duel with Fu about what I want. Still didn't learn my lesson. And then it turns out actually what I want is a friend. I want that boy that I like to know that I like him. She goes on a whole journey in just a very short number of episodes, but she's also a very energetic and entertaining character to watch. If they did a spin-off that was just Asuka, I'd probably watch it, just because I've already watched 2 seasons of an OVA of Magic Knight Rayearth, so I'm already introduced to her, so it'd be nice to see what happens, right? I guess it's also an element of why I was very disappointed at the end of season 2 when they just fucking leave and the idea is they're never going back again. Anyway, top of A tier, 1 point above the main character of the show, Firo, the brother of Princess Emerald, uh, boyfriend of Fu, who repeatedly gets into fights. It's way over his head, trying to help the girls out. Very important throughout the entire series of the show. The fact that he is a side character allows him to have some mystery about him that the main characters are not able to have because, again, they're main characters. So, yeah, it kind of really develops over time. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just lost in a thought there for a second. I guess that's as high as Firo could possibly get because I don't think there's any stretch of the imagination where I would ever put him as an S tier character. I think that's probably a perfect spot for him. But speaking of S tier characters, the two, there's only 2 of them, and of course they are Princess Emerald and Zagato, with Zagato just edging her out by 2 points. That last 2 episodes of season 1 of Magic Knight Rayearth, I don't know, man. I guess you gotta put that in the anime Hall of Fame, because I don't think I called it. That was that was an unexpected twist that upends 23 episodes of the show and turns it into something completely different. The bad guy who's been fighting you this whole time is not holding the princess captive and fighting you because he's just a you know crazy bad guy. He's in love with the princess. The princess wants to kill herself. He's the only one trying to stop her. And as it turns out, all the bad guys he's been sending out have been on the same boat that he's been. We're trying to protect this person that we love. And then you kill Zagato, and Princess Emerald comes out like you killed the man that I love, and tries to get revenge on you because you didn't understand that Princess Emerald brought you to this place to help her die. It's in a very adult storyline in a show that, I don't know, has been very surface level up until this point. Like, Pressia's death was like a very adult moment that's like, well, this was out of the blue, but I feel like that was like getting you ready for what was happening later in the show. And then there's also elements along the line of like Hikaru when her friends get taken and she's like crawling through bramble and fighting lightning and like bleeding all over the place. There's interspersed moments, but there is just a lot of like emotion play and whatnot in between that does not set you up for this twist ending. And I think that's what really lends to the character's ranking. That is extremely high emotional resonance. Zagato does not look like any other character in anime that I watch. His backstory is constantly being thrown at us, if not in season 1, in season 2, when they try to prove that he's a shit character. Like you said, they're shitting on their number 1 character, and that's why I hate those parts of season 2. I understand his motivations entirely. There is not a part about Zagato that I dislike, except for, I guess, when I was talking about this during season 1's reaction, where I'm like, why doesn't he just go out there on his own? But that is what it is. I appreciate the storytelling element of them not just sending Zagato out to fight the girls, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten that final twist as it happened. Like I said, the very end of Magic Knight Rayearth Season 1 is essentially a must-see. I guess you kind of have to watch the entire show to be able to really understand and appreciate the end of the season. So, in that respect, I guess Magic Knight Rayearth is a must-see, in my opinion, of Season 1, so that you can fully appreciate everything you saw. And again, the idea of Princess Emerald as being the pillar of Sephiroth and being responsible for everyone's happiness, and the idea of can the pillar also have her own happiness, and the idea also being like no, and being with having your happiness withheld from you, with also the knowledge that you have to maintain everybody else's, is a very strong story point to explore and think about, which again makes her character all that much more important and higher ranking than everybody else's, even though relative to the story, she does very little other than instigate it and then fight at the very end. Again, sometimes emotional resonance can be, for me, the most defining factor of the 5 point tier. So it's always characters with high emotional resonance that I see in S tier. But yeah, that is the list. That is all the characters from the show and one from the movie. Much to Phil Fisher's chagrin, that I included Lexus. Now, when it comes to top 5 episodes, this is what I was mentioning when I said I didn't have like full reasoned out thoughts or anything. I kind of just went with my gut on this one. And any notes I have is going to be right off the cuff in relation to why these episodes are the way they are. Same thing I did with the Jujutsu Kaisen ranking. There's no listing of like scores or anything. I just kind of like went down the list of episodes, picked out the ones I thought impacted me the most or I thought were the most important. I put them all on the list and then I organized them in the way that I thought they went. So, my number 5, Season 1, Episode 8, The Horrible Trap of Summoner Ascot. Hikaru takes an estranged monster for caring. She names it Hikaru. Sorry, this. I grabbed a synopsis of every episode, but I can already see that this one is wrong. One thing, she names it Hikari after her dog, and the first sentence wasn't even a sentence. Anyway, we then find out that Hikari is actually a monster that Ascot was training. As I said before, I was surprised that Hikari did not rank higher, but I guess B tier is pretty high for a character in the show, considering how many characters are C tier and lower. For me, the emotional resonance between Hikaru and Hikari was palpable. The idea of having to essentially kill your pet is not one that I really want to focus on very much. But in the episode, it was very sad, and I think that's reflected in my reaction to it. So for me, that's what puts this season 1, episode 8 as number 5. So know that I think it's better than 45 other episodes so far already. My number 4, season 2, episode 29, The Road to Victory, the tomorrow that the believing heart opens. With each earthquake that happens in Sephiroth, it means that Sephiroth is falling. If Sephiroth falls completely, they cannot go back to their world. To become a Magic Knight, they need to awaken their machines. For me, I rank this one as my number 4, mostly because this is essentially our last moments with Alcyone. And as I said, Alcyone is like my second favorite character of the show. So this was kind of her last hurrah to be a character with any meaning going forwards. In this respect, though, it was Alcyon's essentially giving up at the very end to help everybody and propel them forwards to the final battle, which actually did not mean jack shit, as it turns out. Because again, Lady Debonair, a D tier character, because the fight with her didn't mean anything. But Alcyon's sacrifice and the realization of what that means to get them there, I felt like had so much more weight to it. So, again, sometimes these episodes are weighted towards like one specific moment in the episode itself. And for me, it was the Alcyone part of season 2, episode 29, that makes it my number 4. Number 3, season 1, episode 14, Hikaru, Umi, and Fu's unyielding wish. After battling a fierce monster, the girls find out that Mokona is able to project the land of Sephiroth. They soon find out that they need to head for the skies for the other machine, as well as their location. Soon after, a bright light showed up, kidnapping Umi and Fu. A picture of Clef shows up and tells how there are unusual monsters and other unimportant stuff, and some backstory that could just be brushed off. Sorry, it feels like this synopsis is being written by me. There's unimportant monsters and stuff, and some backstory that can be brushed off. I don't know who the fuck wrote this. Hikaru remembers the map, and Mokona projects it. She heads towards Umi and Fu's way and manages to get cut along the way due to some thorns. Mokona catches up with her and notices the blood. Soon after, the light is after Hikaru, but Mokona pushes Hikaru out of the way, and in she goes into the light, while Hikaru falls into a ravine. These are horrible synopses. I probably should have read them before I put them down on my listing. Anyway, when I was talking about the character tier list, I mentioned an episode where Fu and Umi get kidnapped, and Hikaru basically has to crawl through bramble and get attacked and whatnot. And there's an episode very specifically she's bleeding from cuts all over her body, and she has to fight lightning and whatnot. That's this episode where Hikaru, as main character, action girl, is really put forward more so than every other episode in the show. In fact, more so than any other character really gets in the show, other than say Furo fighting one of I think Ascat's minions in the desert. This is like the best of the action episodes, I feel like, and it's very important to the character. So that's what makes that my number 3, season 1, episode 14. Ah, shit. Did I do it again? I think I did the same thing that I did with Jujutsu Kaisen. Let me just double check here. Yep. So, something in my brain. Something in my brain these last couple days. Sorry, guys. This isn't the top 5. This is a top 6. I've done it again. Apparently I can't count to 5. I've given you, so that wasn't my number 3. That was my number 4. So, future me, remember this. My number 3 is season 1, episode 6. Lives at Stake, Pressia's Weapons. Ascot sends one of his worm creatures to kill the Magic Knights. The girls tell Pressia to take care of their weapons while they handle the monster. The worm attacks the Magic Knights, who are a bit successful in defending themselves. But it turns and heads for someone else. Pressia! Yeah, this is the episode where Pressia sacrifices her life to ensure the girls' success in the future. Essentially, I believe she's forging the weapons when the monster attacks, and she either has the choice of finishing the weapons or saving herself, and she chooses to finish the weapons so that the girls can then go forth and save the rest of Sephiroth. And I've always felt like Pressia's death was one of the first most impactful moments of the show. So just has to be high ranking in the episode list for me. Because again, there is a lot of what would normally feel like filler in Magic Knight Rayearth. And this was one episode that told me, no, this show isn't going to be this way all the way through. It's going to be something else. This was the first glimmer that the show wasn't going to just be, I don't know, Precure, I guess, is what's coming to my head. All right, my number 2 is Season 1, Episode 19, Showdown, The Magic Knights versus Zagato. The girls start to head towards the flying mountain in the sky and remembers the good times and bad times they had. So, God, this is written so weird. Then they get a message from Princess Emerald telling them to grant her wish and save Sephiroth. They finally reach the place, only to find Zagato in his own machine, preventing them to come any further. They fight, they get injured, and when it looks like they don't win, they combine all of their powers. Red Lightning, Dragon Water, and Green Gale. They shoot it towards Zagato, where it kills him. In the final scene, Princess Emerald screams in horror as Zagato is killed off. This isn't even like a synopsis anymore. This is just like everything that happened. They get injured. They fight. Anyway, very important. As I said, it is the start of the twist, or I guess it's like half of the twist. That Zagato's not fighting just for himself. He's also fighting for the Princess Emerald that he wants to, well, he's in love with, but also wants to keep around. And then the reveal that Princess Emerald is horrified by the death of Zagato and becomes vengeful because even though she wanted to die, she still loved Zagato and was hoping, I guess, that he would live on in a world without her. There's so much at play here that I feel like it's the more important of the two episode. Well, it's not the more important. It's not more important. Certainly, it's actually not more important, but it's the one that sets everything up. Sorry, I already did a whole 30-minute breakdown of why my brain isn't working today. So I apologize if I'm not making it impactful enough for you to understand why this episode is so very important. But I feel like I have to move on to the next episode because some of the things I'm saying are contradicting things that I will have to say in a moment. Because my number 1 is Season 1, Episode 20. Yes, the very next episode. The unbelievable truth about the legendary Magic Knights. The girls piloting their machines head to the castle where a girl that looks like Princess Emerald is waiting for them. After mentioning Zagato's name, she goes berserk and climbs into her own machine. She starts to attack them, and they fly out of there. Once outside, they engage in a battle with the machine and learn the truth from Princess Emerald, who really is attacking them. So yeah, this is the episode that makes everything clear from last episode. Sorry, Phil Fisher in the chat is indicating that Season 1, Episode 19 and 20 count as one, so still top 5. And to be fair, thinking about that, when me and Lessons did our top 5 episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam 1979, I did cheat in that one, and I included 2 episodes as one episode. So yeah, maybe we'll count this as a top 5 still with episode 20 and 19 together. Because again, they're so important that it's hard to think that one is more important than the other. Because I obviously was about to start saying that for episode 19, and then I had to backtrack real quick because I almost forgot what my number 1 episode was. Because I'll admit I was scanning up my list while I was talking about episode 19, and for half a second I thought I was talking. My number 1 was going to be the last episode of season 2, and since I was talking about a different episode, I could not verbalize how odd I think that was because I fucking hated the last episode of season 2. So yeah, no, episode 19 and episode 20 of season 1 are amazing. Again, they are tops in anime, if I could just get people to watch those two, I would like put it out there. But the thing is, you have to understand the journey so far and how much this twist has not been given, right? It's not like oh god. Sorry. The thing here is like you can't give an example about great twists because they ruin the twist. So I can't even name stuff for you. Like, obviously, there is an anime. I guess is the only clue I'll give here. There's an anime that we have watched on the channel that a lot of people want to see more of that I've already seen before. So the only context I could watch it would be to introduce somebody new to it. And I don't think Lessons would appreciate the twist. It wouldn't play for him. Well, it might. He watches a lot of. See, I can't name the genre of show, so because that would be too much of a giveaway. He might. I don't think it would play well though, and also the element again that I've seen it already, so there's no twist there for me. But it's such an amazing thing when you have shows with great twists to be able to introduce people to them and then see their reaction to that twist. And this is one of those. The culmination of everything we've been through. Sorry, Alex V9 is in the chat actually asking what anime, and I'm saying that I'm not going to name it because naming it will let you know that there's a twist. And again, it's the catch-22 of the twist, right? I can't name it because it spoils the fact that there's a twist. But if I don't name it, you'll never watch it knowing that it's a twist. No, I'm saying I can't. I don't want to ruin it for you. So literally, in the minefield that is anime, which is to say, the million of anime out there, know that there's one out there that I would really love for you to watch, but it will never tell you what it is. Again, the only clue I can give you is that we've reacted to. Sorry, there's a thought here that I don't know if this is too much of a spoiler, too. Okay, it's a big channel. We've reacted to a lot of stuff. It's not a spoiler to say we've reacted to an episode of it. So that's all I'll say. Because again, the show I'm thinking of, the twist is so great for me, and it might not even matter to you. That's the difference also between twists. I have watched people react to shows that I love that have great twists, I feel like, that they were disappointed by those very same twists. They call it like bad writing or whatever. So twists land differently for different people. I feel like this twist in Magic Knight Rayearth is so on an adult level, unexpected in the genre that the show takes place in, that it is too good to be attributed to bad writing. I feel like, and again, no offense to people who like Magic Knight Rayearth, because obviously I watched it all. I enjoyed a great portion of it. I feel like Magic Knight Rayearth isn't always the best of writing, and that you might write it off pretty quickly as just shojo, girl empowerment shojo. But it's so much more than that. And I feel like that really pays off at the end of season 1. And I don't think anybody, I could not imagine anybody seeing this twist and not enjoying it and being surprised by it pleasantly, especially for the journey that you've been on so far. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled on and on so much about just how great of a twist it is that it's probably the end of my rankings here. So, that said, that is basically the end of Magic Knight Rayearth until maybe the new thing comes out. I haven't heard anything new about the Magic Knight Rayearth remake past the 30th anniversary thing. So if that's still happening, I have no idea, but I'll keep an eye out. And obviously, it seems to me that I'd probably watch it again again. I'd probably watch it because I'm already in deep. I've watched everything that's already out there. So, hell, I've even watched some gameplay. Not for nothing, but the other day I was putting together the list of show openings and endings that when I'm away from the screen during these live recordings, what y'all watch there. And I was looking up the Magic Knight Rayearth openings and endings to include on that as well. And I saw somebody playing a SNES Magic Knight Rayearth game. I was like, oh, that looks pretty interesting. Thought for a second, half a second, about going back to my SNES roots and playing that too. So just know that I've looked at a whole hell of a lot of Magic Knight Rayearth stuff, even outside of the spectrum of the anime reaction content. So when it comes to a new thing being proposed, it's not off of my books to say, hey, let's go watch season 1 again, reimagined. So that said, I think we're done here with this segment. So until that happens, if it does happen, I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?